Mr. Isaac.
Shalom. Shalom. Peace.
Mr. Isaac, our Sunday school book describes you as a man who tried to live peacefully with his neighbors. Would you tell us why?
I tried to live peacefully with my neighbors because my father had loved God and tried to do what God told him to do. And God told me that I needed to love the people around me and to get along with them. And so I've tried to do that all of my life.
Mr. Isaac, besides God, who has been the biggest influence in your life?
Well, I don't think there's any question, but my father, Abraham, was the most influential person in my life. Abraham came out of Ur of the Chaldees and moved over to what is today Israel, and actually went down into Egypt before he came back to Israel. So it was a wonderful childhood that I had. But let me tell you, I was not born to my father until very late in his life. Today, I'm 150 years old. But when my father was 100 years old, I had not been born. So that was a long time, and an old man 100 years old wouldn't expect to have children. But my mother, Sarah, and my father, Abraham, were promised that they were going to have children, promised by God. And so my father and my mother were those two most influential people in my life.
Sounds to me like you are a miracle baby.
Well, you could say that. I mean, when I was born, I don't know how your parents are, but probably none of them is 100 years old.
Mr. Isaac, in our world today, many families are without jobs and are forced to sacrifice. And so what can you tell us about sacrificing?
Well, I think you need to understand that in my father Abraham, one day was told by God to go up into the mountains and sacrifice, to worship him, because sacrifice was a part of the way we worshiped God. And when he went, I knew that we always sacrificed a lamb. And I asked my dad, Abraham, where is the lamb? Where's the ram, the male lamb that you're going to take to sacrifice? And my father said, you don't have to worry about that. God will provide. Well, we got up there, and we looked around, and we didn't have anything to sacrifice, and my father built an altar and built up a pile of wood and was ready to light the fire, and I knew there had to be a sacrifice. And he looked at me and he said, son, we don't have a ram here, and I want to ask you if you would be willing to sacrifice your life for our people, for our future. And I knew that it would be terrible to die, but I also knew that my father loved me, and that my father trusted the Lord, Yahweh, to lead us and to guide us. And so what he did, I crawled up on the pile of logs, and I was ready to be sacrificed. And my father, I remember, had a knife, and he was going to stab me and sacrifice me. And I thought, Lord, is there not a way? And then my father and I both looked over, and there was a ram caught in the bush. And so instead of sacrificing me, we were able to sacrifice the ram, because God provided. And so, it is miraculous that I'm here, because I could have been killed as a sacrifice very early in my life.
Wow, I tell you, you were making a great sacrifice when you went up to that wood and to lay on it, and God just prevailed and brought that ram and saved your life, and we're happy you're here today. Mr. Isaac, did I hear that you are the father of twins?
Not only am I the father of twins, but they were born, they were fraternal twins, very different, not identical twins. And Esau was the older, he was born first, but he was the hunter and he was rugged and an outdoorsman. And my other son, Jacob, was more of an insider. He loved to cook and he was artistic and he did things like that. And I'll tell you, Esau was my favorite, but his mama, my wife Rebecca, she loved Jacob, and she sort of looked after Jacob. And Jacob actually became the father of 10 children. One of them was Joseph, or actually 11 children. One of them was Joseph, who actually, as I speak to you today, at age 151, he has just been born to my son Jacob. And so I'm so thrilled that I now have a grandson that's from that marriage.
Great. This is going to conclude our interview with Mr. Isaac, a faithful follower of God and a man who tried to live in peace with his neighbors. Thank you, Mr. Jacob.
Thank you.
Mr. Isaac.
Yay.